Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
How do you know? How can you tell that your marketing efforts are paying off? One of the questions that I was asked on a conversation earlier today, and was more so a statement, but it was something along the lines of, well, marketing is hard to measure to see if what I'm investing is actually driving results. So in today's episode of the Childcare Bridge, I want to unpack this a bit. And I'm going to take a couple of twists and turns and different angles with you, because I would argue that understanding the stuff that we're going to go over today could very well make or break your success as an owner. Now, the hats I'm going to wear are going to be twofold. I'm going to have my marketer's hat, and I'm going to give you how I look at it from a lens of marketing. And that's the lens that I've had for over 20 years. And that I will continue throughout to put my lens of owning multiple location childcare business, childcare centers. So I'm going to bounce and give you a little bit of both. But let's start all the way at the base level. Let's start all the way, again, foundation level. My premise is that the only way that your childcare center is going to grow is through better and more marketing or acquisition. Plain and simple. And when you start to think about it with that lens, you're going to very quickly understand that, yes, there could be some locations that you open up and you put up a building and you start to generate some interest. And we'll talk through that, and that is a form of marketing. Having signage is marketing. Having a billboard, that's marketing, for example. But you're also going to quickly realize that it is no longer if you build it and they will come. There are a lot of markets across the US and even the globe that are beyond saturated. Like, there are some locations that I've seen where you could go a couple of miles and see a center, and then a couple more miles. There's some locations where I'm seeing a center right across the street, 1 mile, half a mile. I mean, there's a lot of options, especially for the growing cities throughout the US. Like, there are a lot of choices, and private equity and big box brands, they're not slowing down. They're trying to take over the market as fast as they possibly can. So the competition is growing, and that to me drives all the way back to literally the beginning premise of why even market? The only way you're going to grow is through marketing. You're not going to just magically get all these enrollments. Well, you might say, well, Michael, what about word of mouth and what about referrals? That's a form of marketing. So let's just start at the baseline. And you're going to tell with my tonality today that I'm very, very passionate about this question and this topic, because I firmly believe it's the question, the topic that is going to separate the centers that have insane success over the next couple of years and the ones that their market share starts to erode, regardless of how good the level of service, the level of care, how fancy your centers are. It's going to start to erode if you're going to get out-marketed, plain and simple. So that's kind of the base understanding that I need you to have. The second one, and we're starting with mindset stuff, because you really can't understand the remaining portion of this until you have a couple of the fundamentals. So second one, again, is marketing is seen as an investment. It is not an expense. It's not an expense. So if you're constantly thinking about your marketing and putting it in the basket of, well, we've got to buy some new playground equipment, so we got that, or we can do more marketing. Marketing is an investment. And when we talk about how you can track it, what are the signals, what will it do for you, it should become black and white that whatever you're putting in by way of marketing will pay off dividends in the coming months and or years. But But if you're constantly saying and looking at it every month, well, that $1,500 or that $3,000 that I'm investing, and you're saying, well, that's just an expense. I don't, is it really doing anything? And that's, again, the question we're going to circle back to in just a minute. But if your mindset is always looking at it as an expense, you've already lost. Until you can jump over that hurdle, that mindset shift, that marketing is an investment. If you can't make that shift, then you shouldn't be investing in marketing. Plain and simple, because you're always going to be looking for the flaws. You're always going to be questioning it 24/7. Well, maybe I should cut this and maybe I should cut that. Marketing, like a fine wine, gets better with age. It gets better with repetition. And if you're constantly switching things up, constantly starting, stopping, pausing, well, let's pause because it's summer camp now and we don't want to be running ads, so let's save the $1,000. That's not how you get the growth that you're looking for. That's not how you grow your business. You grow your business by investing more resources by way of time and money in marketing and or acquisition. You might say, well, what about opening up more locations? That can go along with the acquisition, but any new locations need to have lots and lots of marketing dollars and marketing time so that you're not walking in losing a ton of money from day one. So we started off with kind of two of the fundamental beliefs. Number one, marketing is the most important function in business. Like, this is where your time, energy, and money needs to be invested. Number two, this is an investment. It's not an expense. So those are the first two things that I wanted to kind of throw at you so that we can continue this training and this conversation. So when you look at that investment, so let's just pick a not even a wild number. Let's do something a little bit more realistic today. I always talk about the amount of money you should be investing in marketing. So let's talk that through and kind of work it out essentially. So I've given you kind of ranges of percentages of your projected gross sales. So let's say that you're projecting $1.2 million this year. And let's say that you're going to indulge me and you're going to be aggressive this year because you want to build that wait list around the block for that location. You want to get to high occupancy with these really profitable ratios, and you want to leverage that to open up another location. So you're going to invest 10% every month, $10,000 of marketing every single month. Now, first off, there are very few centers at $1.2 million that are investing $10,000. Now, am I doing that at my locations? 100%. 100%. Are there other centers that will tell me that they can get away with investing 3% or 2%? 100%. It's a very wild mixed bag, but if you want to be aggressive and you want to continue to stand the test of time, on the low side, you need to be investing 5%. That's the low side. I would prefer to see you closer to 7 to 10. But at minimum, at those numbers, you should be able to have a $5,000 marketing budget. Now, that can be spread out evenly. It can be kind of front-loaded at certain times, but you never want to stop your marketing. Now, if we're keeping it even, when we're saying $5,000 every single month, here's where the tracking comes into place. And here's again where things can start to go awry. So first, every single month you cannot expect to get 10 or 15 new enrollments from a $5,000 investment. I've talked about the metrics and the numbers that you should be watching, and one of the most important numbers is your cost per enrollment. How much can you essentially buy an enrollment for? And that's a personal question because it's going to depend on your finances, your margins, your audience, your tuition. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But the aggressive centers that we work with, including mine, they'll invest up to $1,500, even $2,000 to get one enrollment. Because we know that when you look out, well, great, that one enrollment will stay on average for 2.5 years. That enrollment will refer 3 to 5 families, and then they refer. So I know that I want to invest because I want that enrollment. So you cannot expect that every single month that's going to be printing you new enrollments, new enrollments, new enrollments. So from a tracking and starting to see, is this marketing working? You've got to start playing the long game. Now, what can you track? And then what does this return actually start to show you? So the beautiful thing with paid traffic, so think Facebook ads, Google ads, Reddit ads, TikTok, YouTube, we can deploy tracking phone numbers. We can deploy tracking links. We can deploy technology that finds your IP address so that if you visit a landing page or a website and you don't give us your contact details, that we can see who you are and even market to you. So I can visibly see a lot of these things to start to see at the base level how many leads are coming in, how many families are raising their hand with that $5,000 a month investment. But as I said to you, you've got to be playing the long game. So if you're sitting here saying, well, that 5,000, we got a bunch of infant tours, but a lot of the moms, they're not even delivering their baby for 6 months, 3 months, 9 months. And so, Michael, how is that even beneficial? This again, like this episode is more about converting your mindset. I would argue that some of those enrollments, even before they enroll, could be worth their weight in gold. A lot of centers live and die by the Facebook mom groups, the Reddit groups. Do you want to be that center that a pregnant mom goes in for a tour at 2 months, being pregnant for 2 months, and you get a little snippy because they're not looking to enroll for another 9, 10, 11 months, for example, and say, well, we can talk to you in a year or so? Or do you want to be the center that delivers an A-plus tour, continues to send emails and text messages, even checks in on the baby, for example, how's everything going? I can promise you that the second basket of center is going to outperform the first one much better. The other interesting thing, if you start to analyze data, is that infants in particular, those leads usually come in 6 to 8 months before they end up enrolling. So you need to be marketing now and generating those leads now. This is why knowing your numbers, knowing your data tells a much wider story. If you put your blinders on and just say that 5,000, well, it didn't drive me 10 enrollments, so I'm not overly happy, you need to play the long game. You've got to look at the bigger picture. But being able to tell, is my marketing working? You've got to have all the tracking in place. You've got to have the Google data. You've got to have the Google business profile data to start to see, are you getting brand lift? So this is one of those that a lot of center owners don't think about. Marketing is that rising tide that helps lift all boats. So when you're running ads on Facebook and Google and other platforms, you start to get a brand lift overall. What about thinking about your marketing helping your current families? How would that be the case? So again, if you're only putting blinders on and thinking marketing is only about driving me new enrollments, I would beg to differ. I want to look at everything. I want to see how many parent referrals you're getting. I want to see what your reputation is. I want to see what other people are saying across social media about you, because the marketing helps shape what people are going to be talking about online. Marketing helps with the brand recall. We've analyzed centers where we're just doing brand-based ads, not even saying enroll now, to see, do we get a lift by way of referrals? And the answer is yes. So if you start to put those referrals and say, no, that's not marketing, those would have came anyway, again, I beg to differ. You need to look at the whole picture. You've got to be more holistic about everything. If your center is going the opposite direction, then that's a different story. But if your center is growing, why would you constantly be looking at agonizing over every single dollar and saying, well, I don't think that that's actually working. I don't see it. And then I push back to you and say, are your referrals increasing? Is your reputation getting better? Is there more brand recall? Are more families saying they saw you online because when you go to a community event, for example? Marketing lifts your community event, and the community event helps lift the digital marketing. Everything works collectively together. Are there different things like seasonality? 100%. There's always going to be seasonality in different things, but what I'm trying to demonstrate to you today is that the only way that I would say your marketing is doing nothing is if you tell me that, Michael, I've been investing $5,000 a month for the last year. We have not added a single enrollment. We haven't done any tours. We get no referrals. No one's leaving Google reviews. Then I would beg to differ that something is not working. But most of your marketing can be tracked. You can see that brand lift. You can see in the Google Search Console, are more people searching for your brand name? And so, Michael, that's not marketing. 100% that is. Your prospects and your current families need to always be seeing your name. They need to see it when they walk in. They need to be seeing it on billboards, even direct mail, Facebook ads, Google ads, videos, YouTube, all over the place. All this stuff lifts things up. So there's plenty of metrics that you can look at to start to justify that spend. But again, my challenge to you is not to say just invest without thinking about it, but to look at it more holistically. Look at the long-term play. Look at the law of averages over the course of 6 to 12 months and start to measure the different areas. Measure leads, measure website traffic, measure your Google rankings, measure how many people are clicking on driving directions, for example. Measure the community event engagement, measure your reviews, your referrals, all of that stuff, but also look again holistically. If you are growing, why would you always be questioning it? And this is I'll end with my marketer's hat. I get in these awkward dance conversations with the centers that we work with all the time, and I can see data in black and white. It's a two-way street. You need to be sharing with your agency. They need to know everything and anything about what's going on at your centers. And vice versa. The agencies are going to be sharing that stuff with you. But it shouldn't be this awkward dance, this awkward battle of justify your existence every single month. If you go all the way back at the beginning, and I'm telling you that marketing is the most important function in business, then you need to make best friends with your marketing people, your marketing agencies, your marketing team, whoever's helping you with that, because they are the ones that literally can help make or break how things go. And with AI continuing to come at us day after day after day, smaller centers are leveling the playing field. I mean, they can go and spin up hundreds of social media posts and they can start to outmarket you as well. So you have to be on this stuff. And again, deploy your tracking measures, your tracking phone numbers and your lead forms and things like that. But I wanted to really convey to you that you need to look at everything. Look at everything and understand that marketing is that voice, like it's helping shape everything across your center. Without it, you're really in for a tough uphill battle. I have never personally seen an 8-figure childcare business that is doing no marketing or that is constantly saying, no, I don't think it's working. It's not working. It's not working. It just doesn't exist. Get out there, continue to invest, play the long game, look holistically, and you will continue to thrive. It's Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.